everybody, I'm Lis. Come on a journey with me and you can see how I see. In touch. Hi everybody, I'm so glad you came back. I'm working with the Instant Pot again today. As promised in the last episode, I'm going to introduce you to all of the smart programs that have been programmed into the Instant Pot. Again, I'm working with the Duo Evo Plus. So if you're using a different Instant Pot, you are going to have different presets. If you don't know where the buttons are, for example, if I say you'll start by pressing your pressure cook button and then you're going to adjust the dial and select and hit start. If you don't know where those buttons are, then you need to go back to my previous episode, Season 1, Episode 6, where I orient you to all the parts of the pot and I go through all of the buttons and tell you what they do. So if you haven't done that yet, go check that out and then come back. For the rest of you that are ready, we're going to move on to the smart programs. Before you use any of the smart programs, I recommend that you reset the Instant Pot to its factory settings. Every time you use the Instant Pot, it remembers what you did last, and that becomes the default that it'll go to when you go into that option. So in order to know what you're doing, I suggest you go back to the menu you know. So you press the pressure cook button, which is the top left button to the left of the display. I'm holding it. You heard it beep once. There's a second beep. I release, and now I'm back to the factory settings. To look at what we can do in pressure cook, we're going to press the pressure cook button. And the first option that comes up in our menu is custom. To select that, I'm going to press the select button, which is the big dial at the bottom of the display. It has a really distinct click whenever you push it, and it beeps everything that you do, so it gives nice tactile and auditory feedback. If I want to change, so this takes me into time, and it defaults to 10 minutes. If I want to increase my time, I have to turn that select button to the right, or if I want to decrease the time, I would turn it to the left. Each click or beep is 1 minute. So for example, if I'm at 10, if I turn to the right, I'm at 11, 12, 13, 14. Or if I need to decrease it, I turn to the left, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, and so forth. So this has a range of 1 minute up to 8 hours. So I can go down to 1 minute and all the way up to 8 hours. That would be a lot of clicking 1 minute at a time, but you would eventually get there. I'm going to go ahead and, I've got the time I want, so I'm going to go ahead and hit that select button again. And that takes me to the next option that I can customize. It defaults to high pressure, or I can turn the dial to the one other option, which is low pressure. So whichever direction I turn this dial, I'm going to go to the other option. So I turned it to the right, I'm on low. And all of these selections on these menus by turning the dial, they cycle back around. So if I turn again to the right, I'll go back to high. And that would be true of any of these options in the menu. All right, so I'm happy with my time. I'm happy with my pressure. So I have several options here. First of all, when food is finished cooking in a pressure cooking setting, the default is that the cooker will go into a keep warm mode, and it'll keep it warm up to 10 hours. If you know at this point that when it's done cooking you don't want it to do the keep warm, you can disable that option for this cooking session. And that is the keep warm button is on the bottom right. There are two vertical buttons to the right of the dial. The bottom one is start, and above that is keep warm. And that toggles back and forth. So if I push it, that turned that option off. If I were to push it again, it would turn it back on. But it always defaults to being on. I can delay my start here. So I could hit delay if I'm not ready to cook it and I want it to wait and to start. To the left of the dial are two vertical buttons. The bottom one, which is red, all the other ones are black. The bottom one is cancel, and above that is the delay start button. So if I press that, it takes me to the default setting, which is 6 hours. And again, I can increase that time by turning to the right or decrease it by turning to the left. Instead of 1 minute increments like we had on that last time menu, this is 10-minute increments. So I'm at 6 hours. If I turn it to the right, one click, now I'm at 6 hours, 10 minutes, 6 hours, 20 minutes, 6 hours, 30 minutes, and then turning it back to the left decreases the time. That took off 10 minutes. Once I've selected the time that I need to delay the start, I can hit my start button, which is the bottom right button. Instant Pot gives a 3 beep signal to tell me that I have hit start. And because I delayed start, it doesn't go into the preheating, it's counting down that delay start. And when that finishes, then the pot will start to preheat. And once it's done preheating, it would go into my cooking time. And then when it finished, if I had keep warm set, it would start counting up into the keep warm option. All right, we don't want to wait 6 hours and 10 minutes for this to finish, so we're gonna go ahead and hit the cancel button, that bottom left red button. And now I'm finished with that cooking. Now back when I selected the delay start, if I didn't want to delay it, I just wanted to go ahead and start it, then I would hit that bottom right button, that start button at that point, and it would go into preheating and then it would cook. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and clear, because remember I told you anytime you go back into these menus, we definitely changed that menu so it wouldn't be the 10-minute high default anymore. So I'm going to press our pressure cook button, that top left button, and I'm holding it. It beeps a second time, I release, and now that has reset the pressure cook settings back to factory. All right, I'm going to take you back into that menu. So I'm going to press the top left pressure cook button. And remember that first option on the menu was custom, and I can scroll through these options on this menu by turning the dial. If you have any vision, all of the options are on the screen, and as you turn the dial, the one that you're selecting lights up. So it's not like there's just one option that's always in the same place on the screen and it changes. It's just the one that's selected is changing. That might help those of you that have a little bit of vision to understand how that's working. All right, so instead of custom, I'm going to go ahead and go to the second option, which I'm turning clockwise or to the right. And that second option here is soup. So to select it, I'm going to push the dial at the bottom. And this defaults to 30 minutes. And then I'll just show you. I'm going to go ahead and press it again. And it defaults to high pressure. Now, just like I was able to change the time and the pressure in the custom setting, I can change it here in the soup settings. Any of the smart programs can be adjusted or tweaked however you want. For me, it just makes sense if I'm going to change it anyway, I'll just use the custom setting. I suppose if the custom setting was significantly different from where I wanted to be and another smart program was closer to that, we talked about it would take a long time to count up to 4 hours from 10 minutes or whatever, I might start with a different one and then adjust it. But for me, I'm just going to use the custom menu most of the time to adjust. All right, so if I'm happy with the soup program that they give us, Then, and I'm not wanting to wait to cook. Last time we did a delay start. This time I'm just gonna go ahead and start it. So I press that bottom right button. You hear that triple click. And now those of you who can see, you'll see on the preheating part of the status bar, that first little piece of that, there's 3 pieces to the preheat, the first one has lit up. And as it goes through the preheat, then it'll go into the cook and it'll start counting down that 30 minutes that was there for the soup. All right, and if you remember, the default was keep warm. I didn't change that this time. So then when it's done cooking, it'll keep warm until I hit cancel. And then I would do the natural release based on my recipe, and then a quick release if my recipe called for that. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit cancel, that bottom left button, the red one. And I'm going to reset my factory settings by pressing and holding the pressure cook button, that top left button. It beeped a second time, I'm releasing. All right, I'm gonna show you all of the options on the menu and tell you how many minutes and what the pressure is for the defaults, but I'm not gonna open them all up and talk about here's how you start and the keep warm and all that, because those don't change. But I do want to go through each option in the menu so that you have a reference if you wanna go back and know what each of these options will do. So I start by pressing pressure cook, top left button. And remember, the first option was custom and it's 10 minutes on high. I'm gonna turn 1 click to the right. The second option was soup and it's 30 minutes high pressure. The third option to the right is beans, 20 minutes high. Clicking again to the right to the fourth option, which is egg, 5 minutes, high pressure. Clicking again to the right, the fifth option is rib, 30 minutes, high. Clicking again, 1 to the right, is the sixth option, poultry, 10, high pressure. Clicking again to the right, the seventh option, chili, 30 minutes, high. Clicking again to the right, the eighth option, stew, 35 minutes, high pressure. Clicking again to the right, the ninth option, beef, 30 minutes, high. Clicking again to the right, the 10th option, pork, 20 minutes, high. Clicking again to the right, the 11th option, seafood, 5 minutes, low pressure. Clicking again to the right, the 12th option, broth, 2 hours, high pressure. Everything else we've done has been in minutes. This one starts with the hours. All right, gonna click again to the right. The 13th option is sterilize. It's 10 minutes for high pressure. Turning again to the right, the 14th option is potato, 10 minutes, low pressure. Clicking again to the 15th option, the final option, which is broccoli, and it's 1 minute on low. And then remember I told you it cycles back around, so if I click again to the right, I'm back at custom. All right, so keep that in mind. As you go around, you can cycle back around, but you can also go the other direction through the menu. So when you first hit that pressure cook option, you land on custom as the first option. And let's say you want to do broccoli, and broccoli is the last one on the list. Instead of scrolling through all those other options, instead of turning right, you could turn to the left or counterclockwise 1 beep or 1 click, and that is the broccoli 1 minute on low. So that might be a faster option if you know that you can work going the other direction through the menu. So another click to the left would take me to that 14th option. I'm going up the list the opposite direction. That takes me back to potato, which was 10 minutes low. All right, that's how the pressure cook SMART programs work. Come back next time and we're going to talk about the SMART menus for rice and grain. Hey everyone, thanks for coming by to check out my video. If you liked it, go ahead and click the like button, and you might want to subscribe to my channel, and you can ring the bell so you get a notification when the next video comes out. If you need to get in touch with me, maybe you want to make a request or you want to check on booking for an event, you can shoot me an email. It's Lis, L-I-S, sings for you, and the 4 is a word, not a number, @gmail.com. Hope to hear from you soon.